you're teaching and you're putting it out there, but like also it's like I talk about the Alter Rebbe like I know him, maybe because I'm learning his sefer, but like I never felt this connection with such a tzaddik. I do go to the Ayal a lot. I was there last night, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like what am I? I'm telling, like I'm making a fabring in my house. Like who am I? Like what's happening? But you know what? I think like Devari was saying last week also, like when you start to tap into your true essence and your true will, you're like, okay, I'm there now. So okay, this is me, so embrace it. So I started learning, obviously, Tanya, but understanding what Yat Kislev was is like, it's just this idea where the Alter Rebbe was, let's say, third generation from the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov, who was the founder of Hasidus, his main student was the Maggid of Mezrich, and then the Maggid of Mezrich, one of his main Talmidim was the Alter Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, or Shneur Zalman Miliadi. He spent his life learning and teaching the secrets of Torah, Pnimius Torah, and then it got to a point where the world wasn't sure that it was ready for it, and there were people who got him in trouble for teaching Tanya. Sound familiar? So, and they actually had him sentenced to jail. He spent 53 days in jail under a very strict sentence of treason. And in Russia, when you're in jail, you don't really come out so quickly. Like it was a very, very scary moment for all of the world. And everybody saw like all his teachings, and he had already had Tanya out for 2 years when he was thrown into jail. And then he was sitting there in jail and he's thinking like, what is this? So actually, the night before that he was released, or the day that he was, it's like a 2-day yontif a little bit. It's like the day that he was released, and then the day that he was acquitted, and then the next day when he was sent out. So it's Yud Tes and Chav Kislev. Happens to be, it comes out, obviously it's not a coincidence, but like you think about it in like this week's Parsha, like in these Parshios right now, what's happening with Yosef is Yosef's also getting thrown into jail, right? By his own brothers. It obviously aligns very, very clearly, Yat Kislev, and the concept of these parshios happening with Yosef and his brothers, that there was a rift between Yosef and Yehuda, and Yosef was, there is a concept of Malchus based, David and then the Malchus of Yosef also. So these two brothers were kind of at it, and it happens to be around the same time that this is happening amongst the Yidden also, that the Alter Rebbe was put into jail, seemingly by Jewish people who were not happy that he was sharing the secrets of Torah. So it does really coincide, and Yosef actually ends up in jail. Like if you think about it, it's so crazy. Obviously, it's not crazy. It makes sense. And then it says that the night that he was to be released, he got a visit from the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid of Mezrich. They were obviously not in this world anymore. They came to him in a dream, or they came to him to visit in his cell. I don't know. They know how to. What's that word? Like when they. What? Like evaporate? No, like in what? Apparate. Yeah, like Harry Potter, right? Like he got visited by, when I was first hearing the story, I was like, he was visited by the Lashon. I'm like, he's still alive? And then I'm like, obviously he wasn't alive anymore, but okay. So they came and they visited him, and they told him a little bit of the behind the scenes of what was happening in the upper courts, right? He's down here, he's in jail, he was sentenced, right, under treason. There was a court case happening down here, but we know that everything here that's in this physical world is really represented in the spiritual world. So in the spiritual world, there was also a court case being held against him. And what happened was there were neshamos that were fighting against him and saying, these are secrets of the Torah. You can't share secrets of the Torah, then it wouldn't be a secret anymore. You can't spread like the secrets, because then it's like, those people who you're like, this one I could trust with my secret. This one, not so much. Me, I'm the latter. I'm not the best with keeping secrets. I'm a very good pretender that I didn't tell the secret, but just don't tell me your secrets, okay? I'm thinking in my lifetime, I think there was probably 2 things I was able to fully hold in. I also think there's that goes back to my shame and to my things. Those things I'm not going to share, but I'll just accept it. But there are very few things that I could share, especially something exciting. Sad news and bad news, I just started stop sharing, but those other exciting ones. So the Baal Tanya was sharing these secrets, and the world was put a hold on it. It's not okay. But in the court case up in Shemayim, I'm sure the Baal Shem Tov was involved, and I'm sure there was very good legal teams there, and they were just now's the time. We gotta teach it. We gotta spread it. We're in Mos HaMashiach. We're Ikvus HaMashiach. We're early Shabbos. We can start spreading it. And because in Shemayim they agree that it's okay, it's time. Downstairs here, he was literally being unhandcuffed and taken out of jail. So it was the Baal Tanya's kind of seal of approval that yes, that Hasidus will live on, that this is not going to stop here. Had it stopped there, it could be we wouldn't be here today, right? We're all Hasidim right now at this point because we're all showing up here on a Friday morning. Like, this doesn't make sense. Most people don't do this. I mean, yes, there's a nice breakfast here also, but so that idea is that we are here now today because of this moment that happened in history hundreds of years ago. So we are now a Hasidim, and now we are going to be learning the Sefer that literally he was put away for, okay? So one thing that I definitely learned from the Baal Tanya is that Tanya is kind of like moments of Yechidus with the Rebbe. So every single chapter is this concept of like, I have a question I want to ask the Rebbe, and it's questions that we've all had. And as we get along through the chapters, we're realizing that each chapter kind of hits us differently. Like, some chapters are just a little bit more easy to swallow. Some of them are a little bit harder. I think last week we had a little bit of a harder time, probably because I also a little bit of a harder time of understanding this concept of like how Hashem lives in halacha. But before we go back to 35, I'll start like all the way from the beginning just to get the momentum. I feel like we like always need that to start. And somebody actually told me, somebody was listening, Sarla Rubin, you know when you call people by their maiden names? She was like, I love that you do Chazara in the beginning. I was like, okay, fine. So that's the feedback I'm getting. So we'll continue with that. So we were introduced to a new concept that we have two souls, right? That was like the first time that we'd ever heard about this, and that was from the Baal Tanya. So anytime we ever thought we were bipolar, we're actually not. We learned a whole new lexicon from 1 through 8. We learned all of that concepts of like klipas and sitra achras and all our vocabulary words that we're going to need. Then we slowly learned about who we are as a person, and we explained the concept of a Benoni, that we're not either extreme, not a tzaddik, not a rasha, but we're in between, and that means that we have perfect outsides, but inside we're always constantly struggling. We spoke about different types of tzaddikim, different types of Benonim. Then we said, okay, I'm so much working on my impulse control, I also want my emotion. So then we said, okay, you want emotion, we'll give you emotion. Here, this is how you do it. You meditate, you make tfunos, you slowly meditate until you find God. Then we complain and we're like, oh, that's a little too slow. I need something faster. So then we did in 18 through 25. We're like, fine, in case of emergency, this is what you do. You tap into your, what's that word? The latent love. How do you say it in Hebrew? Ava Mesutaris, right? We have this like latent love within inside of us that we know, and that's the button that we push. That's the button that a lot of Yidden are pushing right now. No matter what, you get up. I don't know if you guys saw this video of Matsuyahu going around. Like, I always love Matsuyahu. Can you talk about this? And he was just like, I'm putting my pace back on. I'm coming back. And we're like, right? It's amazing because this is that's the button where like, you're under attack, like this is what you do. Then we moved on to saying, okay, now we have everything that we ever need to know, but I want to troubleshoot. I'm going to get into moments that are going to be a little bit hard for me. I'm not going to be always so happy. How do you be happy? And then we spoke about making Hashem a place in this world, Dir B'Tachtonim, and that will lead us to happiness because Hashem now is in our house. And then we also spoke about how if you can't find Hashem in your house, he's in the Dalet Amos of Halacha. His house, which is the Beis HaMikdash, because Hashem is no longer here in the Beis HaMikdash or in the Mishkan, we said he's in the Dalet Amos of Halacha. And we explained, and it wasn't so clear, but maybe now it's a little bit clearer. I'm telling you, after last week's class, I was like, my brain is hurting. Somebody said it. Somebody, like, after class, and I was like, it's a good thing. That means it's like an exercise and we're working it through. But basically, the bottom line is that we have to attach, if we want to fully connect to Hashem, like we used to be able to do in a Merkava, because it was clear and it was a Merkava, it used to be a clear conduit. Now we don't have that, so we attach ourselves to Hashem's will. Where is Hashem's will? Hashem's will is in halacha. And the second we connect to that, that's where we will find Hashem. So that's kind of where we ended off, understanding our real ratzon, as opposed to our chitzanis haratzon, which are stuff that we want to gather and things like that. But our pnimis haratzon is the deepest, innermost core. We worked that out a little bit more, right? Okay, fine. Okay, any questions leading up till now? No. Okay, so now I like this chapter because, first of all, I have a daughter named Nechama, and also because this parsha, this parak, it says that this comes as a Nechama for the Benoni. So like the way that I described it, like that it was Yechidus, like people had these questions. So the way that this parak starts off is like, he's kind of like answering a question that most people would have. So the question that it starts off with here, and I wonder if any of you are feeling this. I'm definitely feeling it. I feel like it hit just the right time. But tell me if you've been learning this, let's say since the summer especially, like maybe you're feeling this. So like, the question is, the Benoni comes basically to Baal Tanya and he asks like, I understand everything that you just said in the last 5 minutes, right? I understand everything that I'm supposed to be doing, should be doing, impulse control. I know how to control myself. I know what to do. But it almost seems like a drop of a watered down version of Yiddishkeit to me, when all I'm doing is just be a good girl. Yeah, like you have something that's bothering you, save it till later. You have something that's bothering your tefillos, Hashem loves your tefillos. You have this. Everything that you've been teaching me is just kind of like, almost like to be like a little bit rigid. Like sometimes how like I think how we train puppies, like, right? Like how, and sometimes I do it to my baby also. I'm not just saying puppies, but like, here, good girl. Okay, sit down. Okay, you're having a temper tantrum. Let's use our words, right? Like I was in the park the other day and I was just like, this mother, I was like watching her shoes. I'm like, obviously this is her first. And she's like, let's use nice words. And the kid's like punching their brother. And I'm like, that's not gonna work, right? Use your words. I'm like, maybe he needs a timeout. But like, she was just trying to be like so positive. And I was like, he's beating up your other child. Like, like do something about it. But we're taught, like, be a good girl and follow all these things, and this is going to be good. Maybe perhaps I'm feeling this also as a woman when it comes to Yiddishkeit, and also share with me if you feel this, like with your husbands, like sometimes, and this actually Paloma brought to light, because I was like trying to figure out what was bothering me, but like she explained it, like the men sometimes look like they are crushing it, right? Mm-hmm. They are in shul, they are davening, they are singing, they're farbregging, like every night I'm like, you're going to another farbregg? Like what? Like we're supposed to go out to eat? Or like, I'm like, no, you know what, you go have a good time, right? Or in shul, coming home at 1 o'clock, I'm like, what is happening, right? Or there's this just almost like this existential Yiddishkeit that they are living that we're not fully living. And maybe it's because we have our other stuff that are going on in our life, but there's something that it looks like they have, or let's say like great tzaddikim have, that surpasses anything that we could ever imagine when it comes. Like, I don't know if you've seen like big rebbes like dancing, or like Ali Malch was just in Israel by the Ravitcha Meyer Morgenstern made a wedding for his son, and it was like, and I was like, yeah, a lot of bracha shefa come down by the chasana, and I'm like, okay, I'm on my third carpool, like, I'll talk to you later. I'm like, I just burned the meatballs, right? And I'm just like, I'm so happy you are having this experience in Torah, but like, I am just working on like curbing it and not yelling at my daughter for taking the car, for doing this, for doing that. And I'm just like, okay, great, I'm a Benoni. I'm a really, really good at being I'm a really good Benoni. Like I did something this morning which I really did not have to do for one of my children, but I was like, I am the best Benoni. I'm going to control myself. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to be okay with it. You saw her. She was in the car driving my other daughter to school. She decided she needs a day off. I was like, okay, yeah. What is she doing home? I'm not sure, but she needs to. One day she's going to listen to all these tiny classes, and she's like, Ma, all you did was talk about me. Sorry, she makes for a great case study for like everything. Also because she's my firstborn, and like, that's how it is. But anyways, so it's like these men are experiencing, or tzaddikim are experiencing Yiddishkeit, and it's just like, I feel like almost like here we were handed a consolation prize, like just be the best Benoni that you can, and you're doing a great job. Does anybody feel like that? Or is this just like personal therapy? Yes.
But me, first of all, I totally agree. Like, even Sukkot times, they're like shaking, beating their elbows. We're like, if you could make it into the Sukkah, don't worry. But I think that like it's probably harder for them to have the emotional role and connection that we have. So yeah, they have to go to shul 3 times a day, and they might daven and do what they have to do, like physically.